Happy Self Love Sunday. I am Moe Sass, the host of Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am a certified life coach who likes to consider herself an aide in the village that walks along people throughout their journeys and help them discover that they can be, do, or have anything in this world. And why I say an aide in the village is because I believe it takes a village to love, heal, raise, and even transform a child. And we are all children of the universe and God. So today, oh my God, first of all, I cannot believe that it's almost the end of January. But today is a little bit different for me because last week I had a meeting with someone, a beautiful lady, her name is Gracie, and she asked me a question that prompted me to want to go back a little bit because we were talking about developing a vision for your life. And she was talking about what happens if you couldn't even see a vision for your life. Like you're so blocked that you can't see a vision or even understand what a vision is. And it prompted me to go back because I wasn't always in this space. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you who've been rocking me for a minute, I am so appreciative of you, and you kind of know my backstory, but I'm going to go back a little bit today because I think that it's important to help everyone understand that I wasn't always sitting in this seat. I didn't always have the attitude that I have today, and I definitely did not have the mindset that I had today. So I started off as a teen mom. I was on welfare making $322 a month, and although I grew up in a household with two parents, my mindset wasn't one that thought of expansion beyond the what was considered the norm for us, right? So both my parents worked on a job and was very hard workers, but we didn't have a lot of money. And for me growing up, I kind of thought from that mindset, right? Even though, I was a teen mom, I thought from the mindset of you get a job and you work that job and hope that in the end, when you got ready to retire, that there would be some form of money there for you. But I never had the mindset of a millionaire, if that makes sense. I didn't even have a mindset of a six-figure heir, if that's even a thing, okay? I didn't have the mindset, right? It was all about, especially back then, what was going on in the moment. I never thought beyond the moment. I never thought beyond, what was going on right in front of me. So it was all about, balancing out, my 322 a month, because that's what I got on welfare, y'all. 322 a month. And it wasn't until I really had this. It was funny because I think my breakthrough was in my breakdown, and it was a breakdown of I knew there was something more. Like I knew there was something more. Back where I came from in the inner city, it was the drug dealers, right? So you saw their fancy cars and all the things that they had, and they were able to go out and live the life of what I thought was the life, right? And it was like, wow, and then you see the girls who were with the drug dealers and they had all the fancy clothes and the big earrings, because back in the day, it was all about the big earrings with your name and blinged out or whatever it was. I had those earrings, y'all. But that's what you saw. And I'm like, wow, there has to be more. But I also knew because of, who my parents were, that it had to be something legal. Okay. It was like, we're not going to go down that illegal route, although it was, all around me. And I started getting into trouble. And this one incident caused me to get arrested. And when I got arrested, it changed the course of everything. So it was like my worst moment. I remember my mom coming to pick me up from the police station, and I had like no laces in my shoe, because that's what they did. They took your shoelaces. And I just, even in the moment though, I'm not gonna lie y'all, I didn't feel the embarrassment I should have felt with having my mother coming to pick me up and walk me, out of a police station from being arrested, from fighting, and just I was just a mess, kicking in doors and all this other crazy stuff. But it was because that happened, it forced my mother to find a army recruiter at the time. It was like, listen, I'm not gonna let you go to jail, for this. And with that Army recruiter, we made a deal that I would go to the military and they would speak to the judge on my behalf. And that's exactly what happened. So through that breakdown started my breakthrough. I want to be honest about that because it did, because so many times people think that something bad can happens in their life, and that's the end. And it can be your beginning if you let it. So with that, I end up going into the military, and it was breakdown after breakdown. Why? Because they had to break me. I was so angry and so resentful for things that had happened to me in my past. I talked about this before with being touched at the age of 13, and it just changed totally who I was. Like when I was growing up, they always kind of said like I was the bad one, middle child, that stuff. But when that happened, I really flipped the script, and they had to break through all of that harshness that was on my outer shell, because internally my heart was always mush. I always just wanted love and wanted to be loved, and for to be seen. Why? For love, right? So it was, they had to break through all of that. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So after coming out of the military, that really started to change my mindset, because I had a drill sergeant, Sergeant Gatino. I will never forget her. Woo, I will never forget her. She tried to break me, but she loved me. But she started me to open up my mindset. Like, this does not have to be your life. This doesn't have to be, who you are. This is one thing that happened as a result of the choices that you were making. Okay. So because of that, when I came out, it just started me. I always worked though. It's funny, even though I was on welfare, I didn't have a poverty mindset in the sense of like I knew I wanted more money. It was just like a matter of like how I was going about it. So when I came out, it gave me a different perspective. Like, I can recover from this, right? I don't have to be the girl that had to go to the military because she was arrested. That doesn't have to be my story. So coming out, I remember, applying for jobs and looking for employment, and I ended up through a friend at AT&T. I took the test and I got into AT&T, and this is when the magic happened, right? Because I got into the corporate environment, and I was not corporate. I'm just gonna tell y'all right now, I was still hood as all get out. And here's the thing, even with that, I wanted more. I knew there was more, right? So when I got in corporate America, I allowed it to expand me. I didn't go in with, I was just going to work my normal hours and do these things, right? So it was me watching women who, I'm gonna be honest with you, growing up in the inner city, there weren't a lot of white women besides teachers around me. Where we grew up, it wasn't like we grew up with different ethnic groups, right? It was more African American and Latino. So now in corporate America, I'm getting around all different sorts of ethnic groups, right? So I'm watching them. I'm watching how they're moving. I'm watching the conversations that they're having, and I didn't know anything about a 401k and all that stuff. So I'm listening. Okay, so what is the first thing you guys are hearing in this? I didn't allow my breakdown to become my story, number one. Number two, I started to listen. So that prompted me into, because I still didn't have the money, y'all. I still didn't have the money to do the things that I'm doing now. So it prompted me to want to understand more, right? What is it that they knew that I didn't? So because I didn't really have the money, I started off reading books. And I'm going to show you a book that changed my life. For those of you who can see the video, I am holding up John C. Maxwell's book, How Successful People Think. And the reason why this book was the number one catalyst, and I still even now go back to this book when I need to get back to basics, because there are times when I have breakdowns. You're going to always have them. And I want it to catapult me to a breakthrough and not stay down. I go back to basics. So I go back to this book. Why? Because it's mindset. If anyone tells you via these quick get rich schemes that you can do it, you can do everything without changing your mindset, I'm gonna tell you right now, you need to run. That is not how this works. And let me prove it to you really quickly. There was a story with a young lady who, she hit the lottery, right? She won millions of dollars. I think she was out of North Carolina, but she had not changed her mindset. She was also, I believe, on welfare mom. She had a couple of kids and, just scraping by. She hit the lottery. And when she hit the lottery, she won like multiple, and it's just like, I remember seeing her, I think on Ayana Fix My Life. She won all of that money. And because she didn't have the mindset, she didn't know what to do with it. So she used the money the same way she had always been living, which was a poverty mindset. So it was bail my boyfriend out of jail 50 million times, spend millions and millions of dollars, keep bailing him out over and over and over again. It was, she had this big, beautiful home that wasn't furnished. It was a wreck. Why? See, people don't understand. They think this is why shortcuts don't work, people, because people want to just get to the money. And it's so funny because people who generally think like that, and especially those who are in the church, they go, money is the root of all evil. That's why that happened. No, we're gonna debunk that right now, that myth. That is not even the saying. It is the love of money is the root of all evil. That means that if you only love money, if you're only chasing the money to get it so it can just, do whatever you think it's supposed to do for you, that is where you go wrong. God never set out or intended for us to have a poverty mindset. It wasn't to love the money. It was for us to gain the abundance to help out the people in and around the church. The church. Who are the church? You are. Okay? So can we stop saying that? Money is the root of... No. For the love of money. Okay? That's the song. It's the love of the money. You're not supposed to love money. You're supposed to use money to help you, to help your families, to help your community. That's what it's for. It's not to floss on people. It's not to show off for people. Because see, when you do it for people and you don't listen, you start using people. You're supposed to love people and use the money. But so many of you have it backwards. And this is what happens when you don't properly prepare yourself and you don't fully understand, right? So that is mindset. That is having the mindset and the know-how, right? To understand when you get the abundance, what to do with it. It was never intended for you are never supposed to use people. Never. You're supposed to love. And then you wonder why things don't work out well. Things don't work out well in your life because here's the thing, you're loving money and using people. That's not how that works, right? So I just needed to say that, but I want to get back to, so what was the breakthrough for me? The breakthrough was definitely my mindset. I had to learn how to come out a poverty mindset and expand my mind. So when I didn't have money, the very first thing it was for me was books, until I understood that it was like YouTube, right? Because back in the day, we didn't have all of that. Okay, I was born in the 70s, honey. The internet and all the way it is now wasn't a thing. So it was reading books and then listening to YouTube, listening to people like Les Brown and Eric Thomas and Priscilla Shire, who I love, and recently Pastor Keon Davis. I really love him, right? So it was like learning, like I needed to expand my mind. How do I do this? How do I learn? I wanted to learn. And I also wanted to learn, I want to say this too, I wanted to learn from people who practice wholeness. Because there are so many people, you can learn from a plethora of people. There are millionaires all around here. But here's the thing, are they whole? Do you know how many people have money? They have money, but they have no soul. They don't have any heart. I didn't want that. I wanted wholeness. I understood that what's coming for me, what's for me, was not for me. It was when it wasn't just about breaking generational curses. It was about, I am the generational blessing bringer. And I speak that because that's what I'm here to do. To bring blessings, not just to the generations within my family, but for anybody who touches me. That's the difference. Think about how many people you have money and they're talking about they're falling through depression and they're committing suicide. And again, I don't want to, this is not about passing judgment. This is about helping people understand that if you get the thing that if you're just loving money and you get it, but you have no heart, you have no spiritual guidance attached to it, it can create an environment around you that you really are not successful, because success equals peace. Somebody gonna catch that. Okay, but I got to get back into this. So this is what I'm talking about wholeheartedly, is a law of thought. And what that is what you think about over and over becomes your expectation. So what are you thinking about over and over and over again? Because that's what you come to expect. I think about things that are so far beyond my reach over and over again. I've come to expect that. That's called faith. Having faith, right? So let's again, what helped me? My breakdown and being arrested started my breakthrough. It started me reading. It started me opening my mind to other groups, other people, and not just looking at people and judging them, but coming to understand what did they know that I did not know, right? Putting myself in those rooms to listen, to hear. So many of you are so busy complaining you can't even get in the room. You're too busy complaining about your situation. You're too busy around the same people with the same small thoughts, and they're sitting around judging other people, and all you're doing is talking about other people and watching the gossip and shows. It's not getting you anywhere. What is it that you desire in your life? Well, guess what? If you desire to have large things so that you can create generational wealth in your family, you're not going to get there from sitting in that seat. I can promise you that. I can promise you that. And the hardest thing for people to understand is not everyone can come with you. There was a movie that I love really quickly. It's called A Never Ending Story. If you have not watched that movie, please watch it. It's about overcoming fear, right? But there was one part in the story where Bastian, who, he had to set out on this journey. And he had this white horse. I think the horse name was Agtax or something like that, right? And the horse was supposed to go with him on this journey, right? Where he was going to save the world, right? And there came a point where they got to this forest, and it was like this deep mud, and it was like a pit. And Bastian was pulling the horse. He was crying. He was like, please, you got to come, because he thought the horse was supposed to go with him throughout this entire journey. He was crying and pleading and pulling. And no matter what he did, that horse would not budge. No matter what he did, the horse wouldn't budge. And it prompted me to think, this is because that was the end of it was the end of the road for the horse. With that, Bastian had to move on. And so many times we think that it's just the people on the outside that can't go with us any further in the journey. But I'm gonna wake somebody up today. It's the people who live inside your head that cannot go with you on this next leg of your journey. I had to understand that. To come out of making having $322 a month with welfare and food stamps, I had to understand there was parts of me that had to die. It had to sink, honey. It could not go with me anymore. It can't go. That was the part of you that helped you get to this certain point. It was surviving. But if you want to thrive, you have to understand, not only is there going to be some of those external people that can't go with you, it's those negative people that live in the back of your head. It's the people who tell you that you cannot have. It is the people who live with you that says you're not good enough, you're not worthy. Oh, because you were arrested. Oh, because you have this background. Oh, because you were a manipulator, or whatever it was that you were in the past, that you can't have the life that you want. I'm here to tell you that if you start investing in yourself, because that's what buying a book is. That's what opening up YouTube is. That's me opening up to my spiritual journey. And then listen, when I started getting a little bit of money, you know what I did? I started investing in myself, going to conferences to see these people in person. I wanted to be in that room. That's how you start to get a seat at the table. I wanted to be in the room. And I'm going to tell you a story. I think it was 2018 when I first started going. I'm telling you guys, it took me years to get to this point. And I was seated in the back. I couldn't afford VIP and platinum sections. I couldn't afford it. I was sitting in the back, but I was in the room. And I remember saying to myself, as I sat in that room, the next time I come, I'm going to be closer to the front of the stage. See, and I want to help somebody today. I didn't want to be closer to the front of the stage to be seen. I wanted to know what it felt like to sit next to those millionaires. I wanted to feel that. Because there was something that they knew. It was something that there was a formula or a process or something they had that I didn't know. And if you don't put yourself in those sections, you won't know it either. I wanted to know. So I made myself a promise that I wasn't just going to sit in this conference and just listen to it. I was going to execute on the things that I was learning. So then the next time that I come, I was sitting up front. And let me tell y'all something that's so real. The next time that I went, which was last year, to the conference, guess what section I was sitting in? Platinum. Why? Because not only did I use the law of thought, right? And have faith in it, I executed on it. I kept expanding my mind. It was who I was allowing myself to become. I got into therapy. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Listen, so what am I talking about here? I started reading books. I got a therapist. I started listening to things on YouTube. All of these things was about personal development. It wasn't about me trying to fix everybody around me. It was me understanding there were some things in me that I was falling short on. I still had lack mentality. I still wasn't there. So all of this is working on yourself. So many people bypass it. So as I began to work on myself, I stopped overspending, right? Because that's also poverty mindset. Money in, money out, money in, money out. I started to learn how to invest in myself. And then what was the ROI on that? For that, people don't understand. Our ROI is rate of return on your investment. I was investing in me, right? So therefore, because I was investing in me, investing in myself, and investing in my emotional intelligence, not just my IQ, right, but my EQ. So because I was investing in that, it started to pay off. So no matter where you are, I'm telling you that I don't care what your backstory is. I don't care if you started on welfare. Don't you listen to those people. This is the key. Don't allow welfare to use you. Use welfare. Learn how to leverage it so that you can get to the next point in your life. I learned how to leverage the $322 a month. I learned how to leverage my military money. I learned how to leverage when I got on the job at AT&T. Now, again, when I talk about leverage, it was all back then, keeping it real, it was only leveraging to take care of my family. I didn't even understand I could be an entrepreneur. But once I started stepping into those rooms, those people, being around those people helped me expand my mind. Follow me, y'all. They helped me expand my mind. So then I was like, oh, I can own a business? I can take this even further. So I can have the 9 to 5 and still opening up my own business. Okay, let's do that. So you follow me? I didn't allow whatever happened to me in my life keep me down. Started investing in myself, reading books, listening to free things, got into therapy, let the old parts of myself die. Okay, those were the stepping stones. And here's the other thing that I understood, that because I can't let this go too long. I may do a part 2 on this. But this is the one thing that I understood that I want somebody to understand today. Going to the conference and all that stuff is great. It's going to help inspire you, right? Inspiration, motivation. Like, yeah, I want to be in there. I'm in the room with the people, right? And then and then when I was able to get in platinum, I'm like, okay, I'm rubbing elbows with the millionaires, right? I'm like, okay, cool, right? I got this. But here's the most important piece. When I left out of those rooms, if you just go to the rooms just to be going, okay. But it was like, how was I going to set up? What systems did I need? I realized I needed a mentor and a coach. See, going to those conferences, reading the books and listening to YouTube are great. There's inspiration and motivation to help you get to the next point. But if you want transformation, then you're going to have to get a team. I'm telling you right now, you're going to have to get a team. That's why having people like myself, Life Coaching with Sass on Instagram and Facebook, www.moesass.com, moesass.com if you want to book with me, or you can email info@moesass, because we're the people that helped the transformation. But with my therapist and my coaches, that was where the transformation took place. Why? Because they held me accountable. I had to listen. The books, the YouTubes, the conferences helped me with my focus, my willpower, determination. It was like, okay, I can do this. If they can do this, I can do this, right? I'm listening to their stories like, okay, great. But inspiration, motivation is temporary. I need you to understand that. Those are temporary things. Transformation is forever. The person I look at in the mirror now, I would have never even believed that I could be her. Child, I was ghetto beyond ghetto. But let me tell you something about that, my ghetto girls. That street sense, plus my business sense, plus my personal development, honey, let me tell you something. Don't you listen to anybody to tell you that you can't be anybody because you don't speak a certain way. I walked in the AT&T ghetto, I couldn't form a full sentence, real talk. Like, I was just like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Listen, all of that. And let me tell you why I'm proud of that. Because I use that to help me leverage. I could see things that other people couldn't see because I had that street sense. So understand that it doesn't matter where you're from. Understand inner city. That doesn't matter. It doesn't define you. Ghetto is a mentality. So don't let anybody shame you for where you came. I don't ever let nobody shame me. When they talk about where I sit in rooms and I'm quiet sometimes, they talk about people on welfare, I laugh. And you know what I usually say? Well, my taxes now, I pay enough to help them out. So how about you don't worry about it? Because at one point I was that girl. So don't you let anybody tell you you can't be or do or have anything. $322 a month, y'all. And I'm sitting here on 6+ and I'm going to the millionaire status. There's nothing that can stop me. Why? Because I have a vision for my life. I allow myself to be stretched. And I'm telling you that if you allow yourself to be stretched, if you get around the right people, if you get around people who have a heart, if you get in the right rooms and get away from those other things that keep you small, if you understand that you weren't even born to be small, if you understand that real talk, you know how many sperm you beat out to get here? You wasn't created to live in a certain space and place. It's time to awaken your soul and understand what your purpose is. But I'm telling you that it takes for you to start expanding your mindset. Start reading. Listen, and I'm going to tell you right now, this book is about $7.95 on Amazon. Sometimes it don't take a lot to get started. John C. Maxwell books, How Successful People Think, is not expensive. But I'm gonna tell you, expensive relative, my ladies. Because I was $322 a month, but I still found my way to buy $100 Calvin Klein shoes. Don't judge me, judge your mama. It's the truth though. So we spend money on things that we deem as important. And why did I deem that as important? Because I was trying to go out, I was trying to impress other people. But if you want to be impressive, go work on your mindset. Go educate yourself. Get yourself out of the prison that is your mind. No one's holding you there but you. No one's holding on to that story but you. No one's holding on to those thoughts, those things, and those people but you. Let it go so you can grow into anything you desire. Don't believe that you can't. And let me tell you something. You better get with the law of thought. What are you thinking about? Listen, where your focus goes, that's where your energy is. Okay? What are you spending your energy on? And understand that it may take time. But time is your friend. You don't want to be like the young lady who was not prepared for the blessing that God was going to bestow on her. She wasn't prepared. Get yourself prepared. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. But the biggest thing is getting in tune and touch with your higher power. I'm telling you, my faith got me here. My faith pulled me through. When I can't see it, when I can't touch it, I call on God to help walk me through it. I hope this is a blessing to you today. I probably am going to end up doing a part two. I'm hoping that I'm able, because I have to go out of town. But I'm gonna definitely expand on this, because I want my ladies and even my gentlemen to know, I don't care where you're living right now, that you absolutely can come out of it. It's all begins and ends with what you tell yourself. Okay? I love you. I love you. Have the most amazing, amazing Sunday. Again, if you want to just reach out to me, email me, message me on any of my platforms, and I got you. I love y'all.